Are you still going to jail? That's all I want to know. Are you still going to jail?
The mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single sexual charge. I'm saying it again. The mother, the daughter, my accusers, in addition to the state, the prosecution, all agreed they need to drop all of the sexual charges. So yeah, it's a victory, but it's bittersweet. It's a victory because I was facing life. No parole, no probation. Now you may say, how could this be possible if a minor was so-called molested and it was DNA evidence? And people say DNA don't lie. And I always said, people do. Well, let's do this. The serologist, the expert that so-called found 6 semen stains amongst a headscarf and a t-shirt. Never mind the fact the whole rape kit said negative. They checked this girl for 5 different types of DNA, finger DNA, all types of different DNA. Checked her vagina, checked her mouth, checked her saliva, checked her excrement, checked her feces, checked her urine. Everything came up negative. You would think because of all the violent acts I was accused of, how I came inside of her, how I came on her face, how I bust her mouth open from penetrating her so physically, that there would be some kind of trace of something, some kind of DNA, but the rape kit came up all negative. So now we're in a conundrum. So how the hell how does the DNA just skip to a t-shirt and a headscarf? Well, the serologist that did the report that labeled it semen stains, when you got high-powered attorneys such as myself, then what happens is, when you spend damn near 200 grand on your defense, you have the right to do depositions. We have our own private investigator. We have our own, guess what, forensics expert. So our forensics expert said this. Our forensics expert said, we want to take a look and see what's going on over there. So when our forensics expert took a look and examined these so-called clothes with semen stains, we had some questions about how did you definitively conclude that that was semen in the first damn place. So guess what happens after that? A deposition is when we interview anybody that's part of the situation, whether it be the mother, the daughter, the people who took the 911 call, whoever. The prosecutor gets to sit in while we interview them, while there's a court-appointed stenographer that types up everything. The prosecutor can hear everything as it goes so they can make a determining factor if they got a case or not. Point in case, we couldn't interview the serologist, Stephanie Thompson, because she mysteriously disappears when we want to question her about how she came up with those results. I'll say it again. The person who said that there was semen stains on the headscarf and the shirt, despite the fact the rape kit tested for 5 different DNAs, considering the egregious acts that I was accused of, the rape kit came up all negative, which science would suggest I did absolutely none of the things that I was accused of. Science would suggest I did absolutely none of the things that I was accused of. Okay? All right? That's what science would suggest. Science would suggest that. But here's this woman talking about this DNA evidence, and then now when we call her so we can interview her, get a deposition, and have it on record with my attorneys questioning them based on the findings of our forensic expert, she's nowhere to be found. So you know what we could do now? We could file a motion to dismiss the DNA for the case. That's what we could do. Because if we go to trial, we won't be able to cross-examine her because suddenly she disappears, she works with some private company, and no one could find her. Now, all the while, the state been giving me opportunities to plead 20 years sexual offender. plead 15 years sexual offender. And I'm like, I wouldn't care if you gave me 1 day in prison. So long as you got that label registered sex offender on there, I'm going to trial. So long as you got that label there, registered sex offender, I'm going to trial because I can never make a plea to something like that. So guess what happens? The state says if we ever want to do interviews, depositions, if we ever want to get a deposition from the mother and a deposition from the daughter, all bets are off. They'll never do an agreement with me. They said they'll never do an agreement. Never do an agreement. Work out an agreement or a plea. I said, I don't give a... My attorney should tell you straight up, because when you see my attorney video, he's going to tell you straight up. From day one, I said, I'm never doing an agreement to any sexual charges. Interview the mother and the daughter. So they are the last of our depositions. We got the police body cams. We realized that the police report contradicts the affidavit that they did. The affidavit contradicts the interviews that they did on the body cam. So we got 3 contradictions. The story that the mother and daughter tells on the body cam, the stories that they told in the police report, and the stories that they tell on the affidavits. None of them work out. And I'm going to speak about that. But ultimately, we want to interview them. So when we interview them and do our depositions, have the prosecutor sit there, we already know where they're lying. We already know their lies. We looked at each of the 3 different types of lies they said for that night. So guess what's going to happen when we get to interview them? We're just going to ask them questions so they can contradict themselves. So when we go to court, we can ask them which story is true and why did you lie? So the prosecutor hits us again. Well, you know he's going to be facing life. We're in the week now where we got to interview the mother and daughter, get the deposition. So guess what happens 2 days before the mother and daughter are supposed to fly into town for us to get the depositions? They call. After a week ago threatening me, 2 days before the mother and daughter are supposed to fly out, they say, hey, we drop all the sexual charges. Huh? They say we're dropping all the sexual charges. And let me add something to this. Y'all heard this crazy story that I called a grown woman and asked if I could take her 14-year-old girl to a party. And y'all believe that bullshit. But guess what my text messages say? My text messages say, she asked me. Oh, hold on, let's reverse. Do you know that we broke up that same day? And later that, within a day, within 24 hours, she filed a criminal complaint. Let's add some more color to it. Do you know that the same day that I broke up with her, in my text messages is proven, she said she was going to destroy my life. She was going to fuck my whole shit up. So we have motive. Do you know that I wasn't the one that asked to take her daughter to a party after 2 a.m. in the morning? Do you know my text messages say? She contacted me and asked me to take her daughter out to a party after 2 a.m. in the morning, and I vehemently declined because I said, what the hell do I look like as a grown man taking a 14-year-old that obviously looks like a minor to a party? Y'all don't know that, though. All of this is in my text messages. Y'all don't know that, though. So you say, well, then, Polight, then you should be clean. I should be, but unfortunately, the mother turned her daughter in. The daughter got high and intoxicated, and because I'm not the one that turned them in, now we dealing with child abuse and delinquency of a minor. If they could, so I'm like, let's fight it. So my attorney's like, I just want you to understand that this child abuse in Florida, aggravated child abuse, from the child being intoxicated, they can give you 30 years in prison. I'm like, man, take the goddamn agreement. If, under what circumstances, if they can convince a jury that whether you gave her alcohol or you was aware that she was high at any point in time and you didn't turn her in, but since the mother did, you can be subject to 30 years. So I said, let's make a goddamn agreement, man, and let's work this thing out. So still got to sit down somehow, some way, but it is what it is. Blessings in abundance is bittersweet. Oh my goodness. And more information is going to come out, and this shit is far from over for all the lies that was told on me. Peace.
Are you still going to jail? jail. What the hell did we just listen to? You think we stupid? Bro, listen, let me tell you something. You're still going to jail. Aggravated assault against a minor. Letting her consume alcohol. Giving her drugs. How did she get to the club? She got there with you. How did she get to the hotel? She got there with you. You blessings in abundance. Man, stop with all of that pro-black bullshit. You know when people say, man, stop while you ahead? You don't even realize that you putting your own foot in your mouth. Well, I gotta say something to social media. Shut the hell up. That's what your lawyer should be telling you. Shut the hell up. You happy they ain't give you a sex offender charge, but the fact of the matter is you're going to jail for aggravated assault against a minor. What part of that is a win? I could do 7 years. 10 years probation. Kudos to you for not getting a sex offender charge or whatever case to be. Let me tell you something. These people that you say mysteriously came up missing or whatever, that's a payoff. The mom and the daughter dropping the charges or saying X, Y, and Z, that's a payoff. You telling on yourself, oh, I spent $200,000 on my legal defense and we got a forensic team and yada, yada, yada. Here's like this, bro. You sound stupid. You sound like you're trying to play the community to believe that they should stand behind you or stand with you or stand for you. And the bottom line is that when you know a child is a minor, you're watching this child consume alcohol, take drugs, you got her in the car with you, we're going to the hotel room, we're going to the club. Why? Make that make sense to me, because I'm lost. You're going to jail for 7 years. How is that a win? You're pleading guilty to a lesser charge. It's not the fact that you didn't do it, talking about science would suggest. No, grown man would suggest that, guess what? That shit looks funny. That shit looks weird. The fact that you took the time out to say, well, I'm texting back and forth to a woman's daughter. Talking about, no, they sent me the text. It don't matter who sent you the text. You have the ability to say no. You have the ability to say, I'm not picking up no 14-year-old. I'm not taking her to no club. I'm not taking her to no after-hour spot. I'm not taking her to the hotel room. You were there. It wasn't anybody else. You are the only one in this situation. It ain't a bunch of people. It ain't your homeboy picked her up and brung her. The mom brung her. You are responsible. And stop all the games. Stop all the let me trick the people. You are not to be trusted with nobody's kids. We don't care if you get labeled a sex offender or not. Whatever you did with that little girl is inappropriate. It's unbecoming as a man, unbecoming as an adult. I don't know what you trying to conjure up in your mind and what you see. We don't care how much money you pay for your defense. We don't care what forensic scientists went missing and what the bottom line is that what you did was you violated that little girl some way, shape, form, or fashion. What you did was wrong. And you've taken little to no accountability for nothing. Oh, the mom's lying. Oh, the daughter's lying. Oh, the forensics team's lying. Oh, the defense, the prosecution is lying. The problem with the situation is it's not enough people contacting that judge, that court, the defense attorney, the mom, the daughter. It's not enough people telling them stay on his neck. Stay on his neck. We don't want him in the community. We don't want to hear shit about what he's selling. We don't care about how pro-black he is. Hotep, none of that. We don't care. We don't want to hear him talking to other black women, calling them queens. We don't want him to get with Dr. Umar Johnson talking about we're going to open up another school. We don't care. We don't care what book you wrote, what pamphlets you got, the power of the black dollar coming out your mouth, how many Beamers you got, how many Maybachs you got, what clothes you wearing. We don't give a shit. You are done. You are done. If you violate children, we're not giving you a pass. It's a zero tolerance. We don't care if you take a lesser charge, a bigger charge, 2 charges, 3 charges. 1 charge is enough. We don't care what title you get. You already labeled. Your number has been punched. Stop confusing us for dumb people. Stop confusing us to think that we don't see you as what you are. You are exposed for being a predator. You are exposed for doing something with children that you shouldn't be doing as a grown man. Think about it.